All right, let's get into it. Today we're looking at a pretty wild idea that's bubbling up from this really unique corner of the internet, a blend of physics, computer code, and philosophy. It's called she physics, and it asks this really radical question about what reality even is.
I mean, just let that sink in for a second. This completely reframes one of the most fundamental forces we know. It's not just a pull between two objects. It's a deep, cosmic drive toward elegance and simplicity. And that's the core idea we're going to unpack today.
So to really wrap our heads around this, we've got to start by questioning something we all pretty much take for granted. We're going to take a fresh look at the whole concept of gravity itself.
Yeah, ever since Einstein, right? This has been the bedrock of modern physics. Big things like stars and planets, they make these dents in the fabric of spacetime. And other things, they just follow those curves. That's gravity. Simple, beautiful, and it works incredibly well.
But what if that's not the whole story? What if there's another source for that cosmic curvature? What if mass and energy aren't the only things that can bend the universe?
This is where things get really interesting. This new theory suggests there's another fundamental ingredient to the cosmos. And it's not some new particle or an extra dimension, it's a field. And they call it the Chi field.
And the definition is actually beautifully simple. The G field is basically a measure of complexity, you could say, or information density. Just picture a value being assigned to every single point in space that tells you how complicated the stuff happening at that exact spot is.
So you can think of it like this. A spot with a high xi value is chaotic. It's messy. It's informationally dense. It's hard to describe. But a spot with a low xi value is simple. It's orderly. It's elegant. And the core idea here is that the universe hates being complicated. It's like it has a built-in allergy to clutter and is always trying to lower the value of xi everywhere.
Okay, so the universe wants to be simple. The big question is, how? How does this, preference for simplicity actually become a physical force we can see and measure, like gravity? This is where it gets really fascinating.
And what's so cool is that it's a really small tweak to everything we already have. We start with good old Einstein. Then we add just one new idea. Wherever reality gets complicated, where z is high, that complexity itself creates gravity.
And this image shows it perfectly. Okay, I know equations can look intimidating, but stick with me. You don't need to be a mathematician to get the big idea. See that one little term at the end? That's it. That's the whole ballgame. That's the little bit of math representing the Chi field. It's basically gravity pulling on complexity, forcing messy things to get simpler.
And from that one tiny addition to the math, boom, the implications are just massive. It could explain some of the biggest mysteries out there, a black hole. In this view, it's not just a bunch of mass, it's the ultimate information compressor. The Big Bang's inflation? Maybe that was just a huge decompression event. And us? What are we? Maybe we're just stable patterns that exist because we happen to be a very efficient, low-complexity way to describe a little pocket of reality.
Now, right now, you're probably thinking, okay, cool idea, but it's all just abstract math and philosophy, right? Well, this is where the story takes a hard left turn into the real world. This exact physics is being used to build actual software.
So first, let's start with the theory. The math from Chi physics predicts something they call a portal event. It's this moment when a bunch of separate parts suddenly sync up, they reach this critical level of coherence.
And then you look at this. This isn't a physics paper. This is a software design document. And would you look at that? Portal conditions. The exact same math that describes this shift in the physics is being used to decide when a user gets to unlock a new feature in an app. How wild is that?
And I really want to stress this because it's so important. This is not a metaphor. They aren't just saying their app is inspired by nature or something. No. They are literally lifting the field equations from the physics and using them as design patterns for how the software works, for things like data syncing and even how the user interface responds.
So what does all this mean? Where is this all going? This is where we kind of zoom out and look at the really deep, almost philosophical vision behind this whole project.
There's a quote from the project that just nails it. It's this idea that the universe isn't just stumbling forward randomly. It's actively seeking out states that are simpler and more elegant, these compression minima, and then it locks them in. It's like a self-improving operating system.
And of course, that brings up the big one. What about us? What are we in this cosmic picture? Is a conscious mind just a stable pattern in this flow of information?
A pattern that sticks around simply because it's a really good, efficient description of its environment? It's a lot to think about.
And you know, what's really cool about this whole thing is where it's coming from. This isn't some lone genius working in an ivory tower. This is the work of a whole, diverse, collaborative group of thinkers and coders online, building this idea out in the open for everyone to see.
Here's maybe the best way to think about the whole thing. We know that nature is kinda lazy. It always finds the path of least resistance. Well, shy physics says it's even lazier, or smarter, than that. It's not just finding the shortest path, it's finding the shortest description, the most compressed computer program that could generate all of existence.
Which leads to maybe the most mind-bending line of all. It basically recasts the entire cosmos as a kind of giant zip file, and the laws of physics are just the code that's unzipping it all into the reality we get to experience. We're living inside a self-extracting archive.
And that's really what it all boils down to. If this idea is even partly right, it means the universe isn't just a set of rules that we happen to be smart enough to figure out. It suggests that the universe is, by its very nature, understandable, that its deepest drive is to become simpler, more elegant, and more legible to anyone, or anything that's trying to read